Her triumphs, I took a group of women that didn't believe in themselves, and I just believed in them. Her trials,
I never wanted to go to practice. I was losing a ton of weight.
Her story,
I just put my faith in God and just trusted the system.
Her why.
I want people to see what I did and say, oh, that's so awesome. I'm going to be better than that. That would be how I hope that this journey ends.
This is Her Why, where we tell the stories from BYU women's sports. Here is your host, Lauren McLean.
Her Why is where we celebrate the women who make BYU sports great. By sharing their stories of faith, perseverance, and success, we can all seek to be better. Their why to sports and life can help us find our why. Our guest is junior outfielder from the BYU Softball team, Arizona native, UCF transfer, and most amazingly, a black belt in karate, Maddie Bejarano. The interview with Maddie was recorded during the 2023 season. So you played 3 years at UCF before transferring to BYU. How do you think the transition has gone for you so far?
It's gone super smooth. It has been so wonderful, minus the snow. That took a lot to get used to. I don't think I'm ever going to get used to it. But other than that, it's been smooth sailing. I've been so welcomed here. It's crazy. Like being a non-member and stuff, that was one of my biggest worries. But everybody's so welcoming. It's so amazing. Like you can just honestly feel the support coming around at all angles. I just love it here.
What do you feel like has made it? I mean, you mentioned everyone has been so welcoming. What else has made it so easy? Because clearly you're surprised by that, right?
I feel like BYU is just such a special place, and I feel like there's hardly any judgment coming through here, and people want to know your story, want to know everything about you, and I feel like it's so easy. I've definitely been able to break out of my shell. I feel like I used to be this really shy person, and I feel like if you've known me since I've been at BYU, you would be like, there's no way that this girl is shy, but I feel like I'm just able to be myself here, and I'm not going to get judged for anything that I do or anything, and I love it.
What has been the best highlight on the field so far this year?
I think for sure as a team-wise, when we went to ASU and we beat ASU 10-5, I mean, that was one of the most crazy games I've been a part of, and there was just energy coming from ASU's side and our side, and our team just really clicked, and I think that's where we really found out we know what we're capable of and we can take this thing as far as we can. So that was just amazing.
Did it mean a little bit more because it was ASU too?
Of course.
You being from Arizona,
yeah,
you're
of course.
Yes.
And I mean, I've had all my family, everything were out there. It was just amazing.
So cool. So it sounds like you have a great connection with your teammates. What's been your favorite memory off the field so far?
We honestly have so much fun in the locker room. Before practice, before game, everything. We get the music cranking, all good vibes. Those are just those little tiny moments have always just stuck with me, and I think it's just so much fun.
I love that so much. So we mentioned your UCF transfer. I want to know what sold you on BYU. Did Gordon Eakin have anything to do with that?
I think he would laugh because I was sold halfway through my visit.
Really?
BYU was the only visit I took.
Wow.
I had other schools looking at me, and like I said, I was very timid and everything. Todd Judge was my old club coach, probably for 8 to 10 years, something crazy like that. And he's got the assistant coaching job, and he's just come out. I was like, you know what? He's done so much for me. I'm going to just go out. I owe it to him. So I came out, and I don't know, I feel like I just got this instinct that I belonged here and this is where I needed to be, and I just clicked with it. And halfway through my visit, I was telling Coach Eakin, I don't know what papers I have to sign. I don't know what I got to do. I'm sold. I'm coming here. I don't want to take any other visits.
Wow.
This is where I'm going. I just got this gut feeling and loved it.
That's so incredible.
Yeah.
So you mentioned you're not a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. So you probably had some vision in your mind of what BYU was going to be like. What were you expecting when you first stepped on campus?
Where I'm from, there is a big LDS community, so it's not anything that I didn't know of. I wasn't sure. I heard of the honor code and everything. I thought it was just going to be super, super strict or something like that, but it's really not. You got your honor code and just follow your honor code and you're fine. I also wasn't really too worried about it. I knew it was just going to be a great school and a great opportunity, so.
And here you are.
So here I am.
I love that. So you grew up in Arizona. And you grew up in Cottonwood, Arizona, and that's not very far from the mountains, right?
No.
So do you guys get snow? Like, I mean, you were around snow, so it's not like you were super surprised, right?
I've definitely been around snow, but the thing is it will snow and then the next day all of it's gone. I think we had one year, or I think it was like my senior year of high school, where we got some heavy snow and like the whole town shuts down. Like we don't have snow plows, nothing. Like we got some heavy snow and everything was just shut down. School got shut down for a couple of days. All of our softball games got shut down. So we get snow, but not a lot of it. And when there is a lot of it, we can't function. Here it snows like 18 inches and everybody still like goes on with their lives. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like I feel like a little weenie when I get cold and everything.
Well, now we're close to Maine. We're still wearing sweatshirts.
Right.
So yeah, it's weird for all of us this year. What was it like for you growing up in Cottonwood, Arizona?
It was definitely very cool, honestly. It's a small town. Pretty much everybody knows everybody. So it was really nice to like kind of go through like literally kindergarten to high school with some of the kids, and it's really neat. And, you know, my parents had always thought about going to like Phoenix or something. Mm-hmm. And just because there's more opportunities and stuff, and especially like with me and my youngest brother, Hunter, he does wrestling competitively, and there's just more opportunities at the bigger cities. But we have our middle brother, he's 19 now, oh my gosh. He has Down syndrome and he thrives in the small town community. Everybody just backs him up. And so my parents were just like, we got to stay for him. And I think it's really cool because like when I played for Todd for club ball, it was a 4-hour drive there, 4-hour drive back. And they just sacrificed that all so that they could give my brother Tanner every opportunity for him to thrive. And it's really cool because when I go home, I'm not known as Maddie, I'm known as Tanner's sister. So it's really neat.
How incredible is that? Yeah. I love that. So you have 2 younger brothers, so it's the 3 of you, right?
Yeah.
What was your family dynamic like growing up?
We were always together. I love my family so much, and obviously one of the reasons I transferred, main reason I transferred. And I mean, we talk all the time. Like I was just now texting my mom right before I got in here. We're always together, and when I go home, I am next to my brothers at all times. Like it's just a really cool family dynamic that we have. We always are there for each other. It's really neat.
I love that. How do you feel like your family has shaped you into what you are and who you are today?
Well, for sure, my parents made me a very strong-willed, strong-minded woman. Like, if it wasn't for my parents and the support that they've given me, I would not be here. My mom, like, almost got me emotional coming in here. She sent me this long message of just saying how proud of she is of me, and it just to even, like, I know that she is, but for her to just tell me those things, like, it just means so much, like, and just to know, like, I just have to like reciprocate that because like they've sacrificed so much for me and my brothers just to give us everything that we've ever wanted and everything that they haven't had. So it's just amazing.
It's so incredible. Okay, so we know you play softball. You play the piano and you're a black belt in karate. Oh my gosh, I just love it. Which one do you use more, or which one comes more in handy, piano or karate?
Well, I haven't played the piano in quite a while, but bragging, if I'm brag, I'm going to tell them I have a black belt in karate for sure. Yeah, that's like my little bragging right.
I love that. So if you want someone to back off, have you ever like seriously used that? Like, hey, I'm a black belt in karate, or is it always kind of jokingly?
It's usually jokingly. I haven't really had to use that, and I don't have to be put in a situation where I have to use that. But no, it's usually just joking around, or I'm just like bragging a little bit. So,
and if you were put in that situation, you probably wouldn't talk about it. You'd probably just use it. Right?
Yeah, just use it right then and there.
So did you love karate growing up? I mean, because it takes a lot to become a black belt.
Oh, absolutely. I loved doing karate. Like, my mom tried to put me in gymnastics and dance, and I was like, yeah, no, I don't want anything to do with this. And I think it lasted like maybe a couple of weeks, and I was like, put me back in karate. No, I loved it. It's very, very competitive, and it made me very, very strong, like strong-minded and everything. There's a lot of rules that go with it that people don't know of. Like, you have to be very disciplined, and it's very based on respect and stuff. So that's where I learned a lot of that at such a young age. So it was really neat.
How cool is that? So you loved karate, but when were you first introduced to softball?
I think I was first introduced like 3rd grade or something like that. I started just Little League. I kind of when I talk to like some of my teammates or like past teammates, like they started when they were like out the womb basically with softball, and I feel like I'm like kind of feel like I got like a late jump, but it really didn't. It was 3rd grade, and then I started club ball like 4th grade, I think.
Okay. So it sounds like you were just athletic, though. You probably picked up on it pretty quickly. Did your parents?
Oh, no.
Really? It took you a while?
No. Oh, my gosh. I was horrible at softball for like the first like 4 or 5 years. Like I could not. I don't know how I made my first club team, too. Like they were like one of the top club teams in Arizona at the time for 10U. And I was like, Dad, I'm going. I don't care. Like, I'm going. And he was like, Maddie, like, are we sure? I'm like, yeah, like, I'm going. And how that coach called me back still amazes me to this day, because I'm like, I literally couldn't even catch a ball or play catch anything. Like I was god awful. Like it was so bad.
Well, obviously it was meant to be.
Yeah.
Right?
Thankfully it worked out. Yeah.
Were you ever discouraged about it? Like, I'm not very good, but or was your mindset like, no, I'm playing this sport?
Yeah, no, I've always had that type of mindset. Like I'll go after whatever I want. And if I want it, I'm going to achieve it. And that's kind of been my attitude.
Dang, that is so cool. So did any of your parents or family members play softball?
Well, I had cousins that played, so they were kind of an influence of it. My dad played football in high school, so he kind of had that influence on my brothers, and he rodeoed in college, and he pushed that one hard. He wanted me and my brothers to be the whole rodeo thing, got me my first pony when I was 3 years old, went all the way to Texas for that.
Oh my gosh.
We still have horses and stuff, and like I'll ride every once in a while when I go home, but it wasn't anything I was like die hard about. He wanted it so bad. And then my mom, she played some sports in high school. She got kind of mad because on the last podcast that I was on with you guys, I said that she was like the most unathletic person I've ever met. Oh, so I'm not going to say that.
Mom.
But I mean, she did give me my genes too. She is half of me. So I would say I am an athletic person. So
she gave you your tough mindset though, right?
Yeah,
to
for
be
sure.
an independent woman.
Oh, absolutely.
You got to attribute that
yes.
to your mom. So is everyone a big softball fan now? You mentioned your dad loves rodeo and football. Are they big softball fans now because of you?
Yes, my dad is like diehard softball now. He gets a little rowdy too sometimes. Like he'll tell me like if I'm just not on it in a game, like he's screaming at the TV like, get it together, Maddie. And I'm like, I can just like vision him doing that. So he's definitely 100% bought into the whole softball thing. And then my mom, she tries. She tries. I mean, it's been 15 years that I'm playing, so I'd hope she'd understand the game.
Yeah.
So she's definitely caught up on it a lot. Does she know anybody that's involved, like Monica Abbott, Jenny Finch? No. But does she know that my ponytail looks good in the game? Yes, she does. She's a hairdresser, so that's the one thing. She's like, your hair look good, though.
Listen, the hairography, I think, is an important part of softball because especially on TV, the camera's on you for a long time. You're like, I gotta look good, right?
I will never go into a game without my hair, my makeup done, nothing. So
funny. I love it. So we all know those parents, right? At softball games or baseball games, they can be a little bit cringeworthy and they yell because you mentioned your dad's pretty intense.
Yeah.
When he goes to the games, can you hear him in the stands?
My dad honestly doesn't get that crazy.
Okay.
My mom, on the other hand, I will absolutely hear my mom in the games. I'm like, I don't even know if she knows 100% what she's screaming for, but she is going crazy and I'm loving it. And like, she's jumping up and down and my dad's just kind of sitting there like, oh my gosh, like you're embarrassing us, I feel like. Because my mom's very, very outgoing and my dad's more laid back and stuff. My mom's like life of the party and they're just complete opposites.
For you, what's the best part about playing softball?
Oh, I feel like there's so many great things. I feel like the life lessons that you get out of it. I feel like there's so many life lessons just in sports in general that you don't get anywhere else. I think that's one of the best things. And then second, I just feel like all the relationships I've made throughout softball. I mean, I've met some of the most wonderful girls ever I'm still best friends with two girls that I played with on my first club team, and we still talk every single day. And it's just those type of relationship that like it's like that's what makes it all worth it at the same time. So yeah, it makes it special for sure.
A huge part is the relationships.
Yeah.
You bat left, but you throw right. How did that all come about?
Well, I was a righty my like first 2 years of Little League, and then I used to be fast. So they were like, let's put you on the left side and make you a slapper. Like, we don't, like, I was a tiny little thing. Like, my parents didn't think I was going to get over 5 foot.
Oh my gosh.
And they're like, you're probably never going to hit home runs or anything. So let's just put you on the left side and make you a little slapper, bunter type vibe. And then I was like, I don't like slapping. Like, I want to hit home runs. And so I just started training. And I'm like, I don't ever want to slap ever again. And now I don't.
Wow. Really?
Yeah.
And you just stayed on the left side.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If you looked at my righty swing, you would be like, oh my gosh, this girl literally can't play softball.
So I want to know, how did college softball come about? When did colleges start recruiting you in high school?
That was the crazy thing, is when like my classes started going through the process, you start in 8th grade. They did put a rule into place, though, that you can't talk to college coaches until your junior year now, which I think is fantastic.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think I had any business making that type of decision. Right. I was just getting into high school. I was just this little tiny girl, like, and you tell me go to Florida to go to college, like, that sounds like the dream.
Yeah.
You know, you're 14, 15 years old going on campus tours. Like, this is amazing. Like, so I just was like, oh, I'm bought into going to Florida. And then once I got there, I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know if this is for me. Like, I'm super far from my family.
Yeah.
So, it was way crazy. I wish that rule was implemented back then, but I mean, it all works out. I'm here. I'm happy. So,
yeah. Did you consider any Arizona schools when you were that young?
They definitely were coming for me, but funny story is I had it in my head that I was not going to stay in state, and I'm like, I don't want to be near my family. I want to get across the country. I'm like, I want to do something on my own. I want to see something completely different. So they came for me, but I was just like, I had no interest at all. But again, like, wait 2 more years. You get a lot of maturity from 15 to 17 years old.
So you went to University of Central Florida. You mentioned it just kind of felt like the dream at the time. Was that the main reason you chose UCF?
Well, so I had like this little list that I had going while I was going through my recruiting process. I wanted to get out of state, like I mentioned. Wanted somewhere warm because I'm like, I can't do the cold, like, at all. So that's like really funny coming here. I wanted a female coach. I had male coaches like throughout my whole club experience. So I was like, I really want to see what a female coach is like. And I wanted to go to a really big football program school. Like, I think that's so cool. Those games go crazy, and I just love being in that type of atmosphere. And I wanted to go to a bigger, like, city because I grew up in a small town. So I just had, like, this little checklist that I had, and UCF kind of just knocked all those off.
Wow.
And I'm like, this is where I'm going. And I was 1,000% bought into that whole thing until I left, honestly.
We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we'll have more from Maddie Bejarano from the BYU softball team. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. I'm Lauren McLean. Let's continue our conversation with BYU softball outfielder Maddie Bejarano. Our interview with Maddie was during the 2023 softball season. So your freshman softball season at UCF was right during the COVID-19 pandemic. You played in 22 games, started in 2 of them. What was that season like for you?
I'm pretty sure prior to like COVID happening, we were ranked 7th in the country. We were on our way to host a regional. Like, that team was insanely good. And it was just something crazy to be a part of, and just to like see it not get finished out. It was really, really sad. But I was also a freshman too, and I was like, first time away from home, so I wasn't too mad because I got to go back home right after, like, basically being sent off to college. So
that's true.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So you're like, okay, I'm ready to go home.
Yeah.
So how were you adjusting being so far from home at such a young age?
It wasn't too hard, just because within athletics you're so busy, and you just like don't even really have time to like focus on being away from home.
Yeah, you didn't have much time to just sit around and think about it either, right? Were you still convinced that UCF was the right place for you at that time?
Yes, for sure. I was, like I told you before, like, I was 1,000% bought into the whole UCF softball. Like, that's where I wanted to be. And, you know, it's really sad. Like, I wish it would have worked out for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody ever really truly wants to transfer. But things happen for a reason too, and I am so happy I found BYU.
2021 comes around and you play in 29 games, mainly as a defensive replacement. And for the season, you had 3 hits and scored 3 runs. What were you thinking about your college career up to that point?
It was challenging just because like I wasn't playing as much as I thought I should be playing. But at the same time, I was just like, I just need to be a good teammate and do what I need to do. If I need to just be a defensive replacement, like that's what I'm going to do. And take advantage of my opportunities that are given to me. And that's all I was focused on. I was just like, be a good teammate and take care of my opportunities. That's all I was really focused on.
In 2022 was your breakout season. You started 32 out of the 52 games. What changed between that year and the 2021 season?
My coach at the time saw the potential in me a lot more in that season, and I kind of was just like, I have nothing else to lose. Like I think I had like 15 at bats prior to that, and I'm like, I'm so sick and tired of not playing in these games more. And so I just I talked to my parents. Like, we had talked about transferring prior to my junior year, but I just was like, I don't want to. Like, nobody wants to go through that whole process. And I'm like, I'm going to try it out one more year. And if I can make an impact and get my journey going there, then that's fine with me. And it just came to a late start, and that's fine with me. Yeah. But I just didn't want to have to go through all of that. And so I just stuck it out one more year, and I had a pretty good year, I would say.
That's awesome. One of your biggest games came in the NCAA regional final against Michigan. You hit a game-tying RBI double in the 7th inning and then a game-winning RBI double in the 11th inning. Take us through that game and those at-bats.
Oh, my gosh. That game was crazy. First of all, I've never played in such a hot game. Like, it was probably 90% humidity, 95 degrees outside with the sun blaring down on you. Like, we had girls, like, screaming their heads off and almost passing out because it was so hot. Yeah, and that game went until 11 innings. Yeah, it was insane. One of the coolest games I've ever been a part of, though. But I didn't start that game. I got brought in as a pinch hitter at the bottom of the 7th with 2 outs with a runner on 2.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
What was that pressure like?
I was freaking out, but I was also like, you know, if you do it, you do it. If you don't,
you don't.
You don't. Like, it's either it's do or die right now. Yeah. And I think I had a 2-2 count going into that bottom of the 7th, and I smoked one past the center fielder off the wall to get a double. That in itself, I was just happy with. I was like, I can't believe I just did that. Like, that's way crazy. And then we just kept going in and out with Michigan, and they put up a dogfight with us. Like, they weren't about to go down easy. And then the bottom of the 11th, I was up again, and I hit another double. And
oh my gosh.
I remember going into that at bat. I've mentioned my brother Tanner, and I just said, do it for him. I know for sure, like, if I get a hit right now, he is going to lose his mind for me. And I can just remember myself stepping in that box, and I just said, do it for him. And that's all that mattered to me in that moment, is to just get something done for him so he can experience that with me, just because he won't have those opportunities, and he won't experience those times.
How often do you talk to Tanner?
All the time. He just had his senior night for baseball last night, and they let him hit, and he got a home run. So I got to call him, text him and ask him about it. And he's so funny because he's so nonchalant. And I'm like, dude, I heard about your home run. Like, I'm so proud of you. He said, thanks. I said, no problem. I wish there was a little bit more excitement. Like, you just hit a home run, but okay.
Yeah, he's got to keep a low profile. Yeah. You know? He's got to be humble.
Yeah.
So you were able to advance to the Super Regional against the powerhouse in Oklahoma. Tanner was able to make it to that game against the Sooners. Tell us how that all came about.
So it was really cool. So after that game against Michigan, where I tied and walked off, I was in a post-game interview, and a lot of the people that like are around Orlando knew about Tanner and like mine and Tanner's story just from asking around. And I will always talk about him in any interview. Like, if you give me a second, I'm going to talk about him. And so a lot of the interviewers knew about that. And so one of them asked me, like, going into last at-bat, was Tanner on my mind? I said, 1,000% he was. And so that got tweeted on Twitter, and I just quoted it, and I said, somebody please get him out here. I didn't really think anything was going to spark from that. And Night Nation just took that tweet and ran with it, and they're like, how do we get him out here? And they were wanting him to get out there for the championship game for regionals so he could be out there, but there were no like direct flights or anything, so we just couldn't make that possible. But they raised so much money.
Oh my
and
gosh.
I signed an NIL deal with Sons of UCF podcast. So the way the people that like got the whole thing running was Jan and Britt. Britt has Down syndrome, and she's like a famous girl around UCF. Like she is known as like the sister of all the football players. Like she is such a doll, and I love her to death. So they kind of were just like got the ball rolling, and she has like an organization, and so we just donated the money back to her organization.
How awesome.
So they came out to Norman, and from what I've heard, I honestly haven't really like ever looked back on the games or anything, but people were telling me like every time I went up to bat, Tanner was on the screen, and I'm like, that is fantastic, because they don't even have to show me hitting or anything, as long as he gets his like airtime and he gets his like, he can have all this all the limelight. Like I don't care, like take it away from me, give it to him, like that's a-okay with me. And it was really cool.
Oh my gosh, did he come with your parents, and did your parents come with him?
I had a lot of family at that game, so it was really cool.
What was it like having him in the stands, knowing he was watching you play?
Oh, I love having him in the stands. Like he is my number one hype man ever. Like it's so funny because like I'll look up in the stands, and if we're on defense, he's dialed into his phone. Like whatever he's watching on YouTube, he's dialed in, and he will not look up from his phone until I'm hitting. And that's the only time he looks up from his phone, and he refuses to sit with my parents at games. He thinks it's so embarrassing to sit with my parents, so he goes and sits off by himself. And it's really funny because there was a game when we were I think it was when we were playing ASU, and my best friend plays for ASU, and she pitches, and she was pitching against us. And Tanner is in love with Marissa, and that's my best friend, and that's like, he says that's his girlfriend. And I could just hear him going nuts, like absolutely bananas for me to get a hit. And I got a hit, and then I came up to bat again, and there was like a runner on first, and Todd bunted me. And Todd and Tanner are like best buds. Like they have like this really cool connection. And Tanner was livid at Todd because he made me bunt. And my mom said that he was fired up. Why is Todd making her bunt? She can hit the ball. She hits really good. I don't understand why he's bunting her. She has no business bunting off of Marissa, and was fired up. And so he's always dialed into my games, but only when I hit.
That is so funny.
He's a character.
How did he handle his celebrity after being on TV? Did he know he was on TV so much on ESPN?
Oh, he thought he was the hottest thing around. And he was like, I was like, do you know like you were on ESPN? And he's all, yeah, I did. I said like, that's so cool. And he was like, yeah, whatever. But he knew he was like the hot thing. So he was trying to stay humble, but he wasn't fooling me.
I love that story, and I just love the connection that you two have. So incredible. You played your last game for the Knights in late May, and around June 6th, you announced that you would enter the transfer portal, and by June 14th, you announced that you were going to BYU. Mm-hmm. Was that just kind of a whirlwind of a time?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it was so stressful because I just was like, I knew I wanted to transfer. I did not have any clue where I was going to go. So my parents didn't think I was going to transfer, especially after regionals and super regionals. And I was just like, you know what, I think it's best for me to go start another chapter somewhere else. And so I kind of stuck to that. And I was like one of the first exit meetings with my coach. I let my coach know. It was a really good meeting, and she understood and everything. She was 100% supportive on my decision and everything. And then like after that, 3 days later, my dad's flying out to Orlando to move me back home to Arizona. So we took like a 3-day road trip from Orlando to Arizona, and I had a Nissan Juke, and I don't know if you know what those look like. They are the tiniest cars in the world. So I had all of my life belongings in my Nissan Juke with me and my dad in the front seat crammed. And it was a really cool like road trip because my dad and I never had like that type of like road trip with like that's not softball involved. And so like we stopped in New Orleans, we stopped in Dallas. It was really cool. And then as soon as I got to Arizona, I made another trip to Dallas for another NIL deal. And then from there, I went straight to BYU and fell in love with it. And it was just a hectic like week and a half, 2 weeks, whatever it was just so much stuff happening. And it was just so cool at the same time. Like, I was just so thankful to have all those opportunities I was given and to come to BYU and just like get this gut feeling and know I was going to be good here and know I was going to be in the right place for me. It was just so amazing. Like, I just keep getting told by like family and friends, like, I've never seen you so happy. I've never seen you smile so big and so genuine. Like, and it's just so comforting to hear those things from like people that mean so much to me, to like actually see like I'm genuinely happy here.
So cool.
Yeah.
Were your teammates a little bummed out, your UCF teammates, when you told them you were transferring?
Oh yeah, there was like a whole crying fest, especially with my best friend Shannon. It was tough. We lived together for like 2 years, and I mean, I still talk to a bunch of the girls just because they knew why I was transferring and they knew it was the right decision for me, and they supported me 1,000%. They had my back, and I still talk to like a lot of the girls day in and day out. Like, it's really cool, and we still have that connection. Like, I'm trying to go out there this summer just to get reconnected with them, and then going into the Big 12 with them is going to be super cool, because then I'll get to see them again and play against them.
Yeah.
I think it'll be cool.
So the main reason was you wanted to be closer to your family. Did it go beyond that as well?
I mean, there was definitely other things that led into it, but 90% of it was my family. So, I mean, if you take away like family being an issue, like if I had been at ASU or something and like I was going through the same things I would probably stay just because my family's that close. But I'm such a family-oriented person that I just felt like if I'm going to go through these hard times, I need to be closer to my family.
Did they go with you on your official visit to BYU, your parents?
My parents did, yeah.
And so what did they think?
My parents were like 1,000% bought. Like, they were the ones that were like, you need to go to BYU. And I was just like, I don't know. Like, I'm not sure. As soon as I hit the transfer portal, Coach Equin was the first person to call me out from the get-go, like out the gates. And he merged a call in with me and my mom and spent 2 hours with me on the phone, getting not only to get to know me, took the time to let me know about him, what the program was about. And that honestly was one of the biggest things that sold me, because all the other coaches that I talked to through my recruiting process, it was like a 10 to 15 minute call. And they didn't really like take the time to like get to know who I was. And they would tell me what they're about. And that was really it. And the fact that he took 2 hours out of his day is insane. And it just made it feel a lot more comfortable to come out here.
You've gone from starting just over half of your games to starting every single game at BYU. You're batting second in the lineup. How have you liked the pressure of playing every day and batting so high in the batting order from the get-go?
I mean, it's definitely something that I've wanted. Like, ever since I stepped foot into college ball, like, that's what I wanted. And it's a big jump from what I'm used to from being at UCF, but I know like I'm capable of holding this ground too. So it's really cool to like see all my hard work and everything and all of my things that I don't know how to say it, but like everything I've gave up to, like sacrifice, all the sacrifices I've given up just to come in and like know that it was all worth it too. And I know my parents feel like the exact same way. Like, they just tell me like, you've sacrificed so much, and to see like your dreams finally coming true and getting the respect that you deserve and having coaches that trust you and are 1,000% bought into you is just so amazing.
What do you hope will be your lasting legacy from the BYU softball team?
You know, they ask us these questions. We do like these things called bleacher seats. And, you know, at the end of the day, like, stats and all that, like, that doesn't matter to me. Like, I care, but, like, that's not, like, the end goal for me.
Right.
And I just want to be known as a great teammate, a great captain, and all of those things. And just know that, like, I did make a good help and put in my time here at BYU. And even though it was not as long as some of the other girls, I still did make an impact.
So cool. I'm here with Maddie Bejarano from the BYU softball team. Maddie, you are incredible. You have such an incredible story, and we are so glad you're here at BYU. Thanks for taking the time.
Thank you so much.
You can download and listen to all episodes of Her Why on the BYU Radio app or wherever you find podcasts. Her Why is a production of BYU Radio.